the 1980s that are concerned about the, should we call, or urban renewal practices that some cities were doing. We had the rise of the mega malls, and people were doing a lot of things, or well, they were abandoning their downtown, basically, is what they're doing. So the program came out of the National Historic Trust as a way to basically preserve and improve your downtown. So it's a nationwide program, and it does have support nationwide. Each state has its own program. Kansas has had it since the 80s. Was suspended for about a few years under the Brownback administration when he came in. He suspended the program. And so there are 25 cities in the state of Kansas that are Main Street designated cities. So that means they've been accepted into the program, and they've been a part of it. Not the whole 30 years. Some of them have only been a few years into the program, but they've gone through the training. They've set up their boards. They've done everything to have that designation. There are also affiliate members, which basically means if you're an affiliate, you can and get involved in the quarterly training, which is always very good. But that's not the full Main Street membership. So basically, the structure of Main Street is based on 4 points, and they break down into 4 committees. That's your design, your organization, promotion, and economic vitality. So it's a grassroots driven effort. If you are selected into the Main Street program, which is very competitive, in the past, they only have taken 1 or 2 cities. This year, they're talking about 3 or 4 because the program's been dormant for a while, but the new, well, not the new governor, I guess she's not new anymore, but when she came in, she revived the program as it was under the Department of Commerce. So it's back at full strength with a full-time director and assistant director. Those are the only 2 statewide people who run the entire program. So they're responsible for the entire state. So like you said, if you go through the application process, which is what we're doing right now, the application is due this Friday. It's very competitive. If you are selected, you would then form a program. You would hire a director, either full or part-time. Right now, they're advocating that you would have a full-time person as a director, and you would organize under the 4 committees that I mentioned there, that under the 4 points: the design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. And then you start to work. You get plenty of help from the state director. They come out and train you, and then basically it's a working board that's set up. Anybody can join the committees. You do not have to have a downtown business, but it helps if you are. We want to see a great participation in our downtown businesses. So what we're proposing is to make Main Street part of our Chamber of Commerce and merge the 2. And I think that'll make us even a stronger organization. Will even give us a stronger application as the city and the businesses commit to a unified approach as far as downtown revitalization, shall we say. So, I mean, the benefits of this is that you have your own grassroots organization. It offers some enhanced services to your existing Chamber of Commerce. We hope it boosts membership in the Chamber of Commerce and the city as a whole. So it gives you a direction. There is some grant money involved, but that's kind of the last thing you talk about, and we won't talk about that in our application. But there are some grants available to help you as a business owner. So it's all directed at helping your local businesses. So again, it's a grassroots organization with assistance from state level people who have access to a lot of expertise, and they do have access to some dollars, but that's really not why you get in the program. So anyway, that's a real thumbnail sketch of what Main Street is about. I've had the good fortune, I guess, to be involved in 2 different cities. This is actually my 3rd. Back in the early 2000s, I was in Seneca. We got into the Main Street program there. And then about 2009, I believe it was, I was in Holton, if you know where that is, just north of Topeka, and that city also got into the program. So this is my 3rd rodeo, so to speak, 3rd time around with Main Street here with Baldwin City. And I don't think I'll do it again after this one. So this is my last time doing this. It's an interesting process. I like the I like the program. I think there's no better way to organize and promote your downtown than the Main Street. There might be some programs just as good, but I don't honestly I can be any better than that. So it's a little tough to wrap your head around the program when you first talk about it because it is a grassroots driven organization. It's not something where the state comes in and tells you what to do. So we give plenty of guidance, like I said, technical assistance, and there is some funding, but really they want to tap into the creativity of your own city, and each city of course is unique, so they have their own different path. So anyway, I don't know, Corey, you got something to add there, or you've been involved in this now since I roped you into becoming an ambassador, I guess, for Main Street here. So
yeah, you hit all the points. The only the only thing I was going to add is that, we have been talking with the chamber and kind of seeing how their role would be. We've definitely been trying to approach it for a combined chamber and Main Street type organization. And that's kind of some of the questions that we've been working through with them. But you hit all the points as far as the big stuff.
Okay, George. Still there. All right.
So I think one of the most important things of this program, regardless of the structure, regardless of the training, regardless of how it's set up underneath the chamber, regardless of some of those details, the number one goal of this program is to promote your downtown. It's like revitalization. There's so many downtowns that have been lost in the last 20 years in the state of Kansas, because whether it's a bypass of the highway going around or whatever the circumstances, or a business moves away. But what I understand that this program is to promote downtown. Whether it's a project, whether it's just extra advertising, whether it's informing people, inviting people, creating more events. I've been thinking about how this really works with the chamber, and how can energize each organization in its same structure. And from what I understand, last week when we talked, if we go to a 501c3, that is not, we don't have to have a whole separate set of books. That can be a line item, but we can just, whether it's a special event or it's Main Street program, it is a subsidiary in our current books. We're not creating a whole different set of books. So that was one of our major concerns, just the structure of the hierarchy.
Right, you're right.
And quite honestly, downtown on the highway, our chamber board is a bunch of volunteers of people that want to see Baldwin businesses do good downtown and otherwise, whether it's new businesses, whether it's open houses. So there may be some work, and there may be some unanswered questions that we don't know at this particular time. But I don't see a major project or a major roadblock coming because we haven't worked together or we're not in this together. That's I think part of our chamber board concern has been just, hey, what kind of support do we have? Are we on our own? Who do we answer to? How do we do this? And the bottom line is, we're still here to promote Baldwin City as the chamber and as Main Street program. That's and it's interesting to hear how the program is developed and some of the things that it's done. I'm excited because we set the stage in downtown with our pavilion, with Sullivan Square, with the lumberyard art, with the things that we have going on in downtown, how we've redone the sidewalks and the activities that the rec has scheduled. I mean, we got the groundwork laid.
No, that's a good point. We've already we've already, invested a lot in our downtown here, especially recently. So those are all things that work in our favor, no question about it. So, all right. Well, appreciate your insight there, George.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's, you kind of think of it as like, it could. Some people kind of raise some eyebrows at the beginning. Okay, so this is all going to be about the downtown, and okay, well, what about the highway businesses? And I think thinking of it in those terms is not correct. I think you need to think of it as how George put it. Both programs would energize each other to become one better, bigger program that can serve more than it has been before. I think that's the right way to put that, and I think George did a good job there.
Bob Russell is asking a question here. Will there be a written plan on who is responsible for what? City is responsible for this, chamber for that. Who will be responsible for writing grants? That goes back to the overall structure, right, Glenn? As the chamber is restructuring and adding in the Main Street program structure with the 4 committees, the working board, then who will be responsible for what will shift? Do you want to address that, Glenn?
Yeah, it's again, you have the 4 committees that are responsible for their specific tasks. Each one of them can take on different things throughout their life, and they'll change, I think, over time, depending on what project we're talking about and who's on what board. So it really isn't anything that's written in stone before you join the program. I mean, as far as grant writing goes, that's a small part of this. I mean, you'll have a full-time director, and the city has staff here that does grant writing, whatever. We've been pretty successful with that here lately on our level. And so, so that's, that can be covered by the city as well as the chamber or the Main Street Board itself. So people have to work out those lines as we go forward.
And it could very well be the individual business owners or various other organizations might be able to step up at that point.
Right, which is what usually happens.
Also, I think it's also very dependent on where that grant is coming from. What organization is that grant coming from? Is it coming from a municipality, a league organization, a state organization? Is it coming from, some other sponsor or another business has figured out a way to get a grant? I think knowing our resources is going to make a difference on each one.
Right. So it's kind of hard to answer people who would be responsible for it, because you're right. There's all different kinds of private foundation, there are public foundations out there, and there's plenty of other things at the state level that are available for cities as well. And like I said, we've been pretty successful at those here lately. So.
And stepping back to the program again, the main point is actually not grants. Are they available? Yes. But the main point is structure and working together in overarching vision.
Yeah, the grants are kind of the tail end of everything after you've already decided what direction you're going to go and what you're going to do. Of course, everything comes down to money. So at that point, you could perhaps look at grants or not, depending on what your vision is and what your goals are. So, but that's sort of the last thing that we get concerned about. Sounds odd, but that's what it usually works out to be.
It validates another restructuring issue from a 501(c) to a C3. On some projects, we can just reach out for donations. If we, instead of dues driven, if we have a special project that we know of, we can put that out there and still receive donations and not feel like you have to reach out to every single person. So that allows some more flexibility. And
yeah, I really like that structure better. I think it does. And I think it gives you that flexibility. And so you're not always dependent on the same line of funding that you normally would have been. So I think it opens up a lot more possibilities that way. So To me, that's a huge advantage.
And Scott did say that, I think he said the towns who have done that, who have combined their chamber and gone to a 501c3 have actually seen more dues, their donations, but an increase in those. So I think pretty significant one too, just because you're just changing the way that works instead of a you have 5 employees that you pay this due structure. You have 10 employees, you pay this due structure. It's just a recommended suggested donation,
Right.
and people will give more.
Yeah, I just think
So,
that's
and
better.
let me just say, in tax deductions for a business, for dues, I get 0 deductions. If I sponsor an event and pay for all the food and we're giving it away to the public, it's a 100% deduction as a business. So it allows us to do some different things with local businesses on already scheduled events that we have that we always are looking for help or contributions to. It allows some tax benefits to businesses, how they give money, whether it's an event or dues or.
Plus,
Yeah,
it just allows a fully community-funded organization rather than an exclusive organization.
Yeah.
Sorry, Glenn.
No, that's okay. No, I think I didn't know all those advantages that George just pointed out. I knew there was some, but I didn't realize it was at 100%. So that's really good.
There's a small classification on what is 100%, and there's only like 4 or 5, but that's just one example for a business. If they're wanting to give toward a specific event or contribute to a specific event, then it becomes an extra incentive for them. It's not just, hey, I'm just giving you money. No, you're going to get a deduction. I'm going to give you a receipt. You're getting a deduction for that.
Yeah. All right. Terrific.
Are there questions? It looks like we have 12 attendees over here. If there are questions, you can either type in the chat or you can use the raise hand button and I can allow you to talk.
Wow.
It is a very different approach to what's been done in Baldwin City in the past, but it would definitely be building on what has been done. Oh, and as we worked through the application process, we uncovered some interesting things like the fact that Baldwin City has applied twice to
Right.
this
Did not know that.
program,
Yeah, that's interesting.
30 years ago and 25 years ago.
Wow.
And it's literally written into the comprehensive plan that the city has on file, that they intended when they wrote the comprehensive plan to pursue a Main Street organization. Okay, so we have a question from Denise. Can you elaborate more on the pros and cons of pursuing this? Glenn, Corey?
Corey,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think-
We'll be here all day if I start on that one.
Oh, go ahead.
Better be Corey.
I think you have to think of the community as a whole and how we would benefit as a community as a whole, how the businesses would develop or would benefit. As we said before, we already have the existing chamber, and combining, adding a Main Street program and combining those two would just make that entity that used to be just the chamber so much stronger and be able to serve more businesses. Main Street is more focused on historic preservation, tourism, and the downtown, but Glenn has significant experience with Main Street and other communities, and Scott kind of suggested the same thing when we talked to him last week. Was that the highway businesses are just as active, if not more, and it's just when your downtown's thriving, when your highway's thriving, that's good for everybody. And this would achieve both those by bringing in a new program that is more downtown centric and combining that with the chamber to serve really. Give more services, give more, that expertise, those consultants, and all that you can apply everywhere, all over town. It benefits the city as a whole. There is that grant, opportunities on the back end of things. Obviously, Glenn had mentioned, we're not going to say that on the application. That's not why we're doing this. But there are some opportunities there as well. I think, Glenn, you said you was it in Holton that you got KDOT money for the brick streets because
No,
you guys
that was in Seneca. That was
Seneca? Okay.
right.
Yeah. And so, because they had a commitment to their downtown, because they were in this Main Street program, and they showed that enthusiasm and investment in their community, they were actually KDOT really liked that on the application. They were able to get their brick streets redone. So, I mean, a lot of doors open. This just basically it transforms what we already have and beefs it up a little bit, and it opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, it gives you a structure. Again, I go back to the 4 committees and the 4 points. And it's a tried and true method. I mean, there's a reason why they structure the organization the way it is, because because it makes sense and it's worked out. I mean, one of the first things they do for the city, if you're selected to get into the program, is they do a market study and an analysis of your downtown. So if our goal is to do whatever the Main Street program wants to do, there's ways to also then pursue those goals through this program. So it gives you a lot of guidance. There's like I said, there's quarterly training from a lot of experts. They're nationally known experts that the state brings in, and you can have that expertise, and it just sets up a structure that is different than your chamber or any other organization that you've ever had in the state or in the city. But I think the big thing is it organizes your downtown as well as all businesses here that want to participate in your city in a logical way that makes sense. And that because really, again, it's an organization that is going to give you some guidance and support, but really they want to hear from your people who are engaged and creative and want to make your city better, and they want to hear about those ideas. That's where it really I think the program really shines and where it really takes off. So that's the major benefit. Is there a con? Is there a downside of pursuing this? Well, it takes time, money, and energy to do this, just like anything else. So there is an investment that the city makes, the businesses make, or anybody who's involved. You don't have to be a business owner downtown to participate in the program or be a member of the program or to donate to it. So, I mean, the boards that are set up, the 4 boards, are expected to do a lot of work. And the first couple of years, it's pretty intense. There's a lot of training that goes into, there's a lot of work that's involved in the first couple of years. And really the first 5 years are pretty active as far as the program goes. So other than that, no, there isn't any other downside other than there's like time, money, and energy invested in the program. But I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't see that as a con, but maybe some other people would. But outside of that, no, there's not really any downside to joining the program.
Okay, so I haven't necessarily finished my glass of juice. So I'm going to throw out a couple of cons that
Right.
I'm just trying to be transparent. So one of the cons is this seems like it's a short-term deal, this application. It seems like a rush deal. We're all coming together in the last minute. And I think that's important for everybody to understand. This is exactly how it was presented to you. It's not like Corey all of a sudden created this project and he's creating an emergency for everybody and we got to get this done. This was how the program reinstituted from the state of Kansas. Like, here we go. Let's kick this off. Correct, gentlemen?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, and the reason why I'm talking about that is because one of the cons is that, man, this seems like it's so quick and we're trying to gather information and we just don't know. And do we move forward? That's one of the negatives that people can't, the reality of it is we're jump starting a program that hasn't been active for 8 years. There are a couple of people that have been involved in keeping their program going, but as far as state activity and providing that support, it's been kind of dormant from the state level. That's a con, if you will. The last minute trying to get it in. And I'm saying that just to try to be open. Is it something we can overcome? I absolutely believe we can. I believe this is something that we can move forward with, but not knowing the sound structure or not knowing exactly, okay, who's going to be responsible for what. I believe another reason why there's a concern for that is, okay, small town, you have a handful of people to get things done. That handful of people may not be very willing to take on any more because their plate is full. That's a concern. So when, you know, Glenn, you say a little time, energy, and effort, that's, you know, I can sense that as far as protecting our time. Is it worth it? I believe it is. I think every bit of energy we put towards this will be worth it. I'm just trying to make sure I'm covering some of the things that I know that I went through, is trying to get through the cons of, man, well, why not wait? Well, because the stage is set. We've got our downtown set. Yeah, we could easily back off. That would be the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do would say, yeah, let's just wait till next year and let's just put this off. And that's something that I want to commend this group for doing, because, yeah, that would be easy. But I don't know that that's the right thing to do, because we've got all the pieces in place. Well, most of the pieces in place for a great platform for Main Street. So, and I say that, you know, to hopefully help answer those cons, but those are some of the things that I've went through and had to struggle through. The structure, the organization, we just don't know. Well, we get to create that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I also understand is
Right. Let's kind of go back. Yeah, it's got to go back to the first point that you made there about the time and the process for application there. I think it's set up to basically be a test. Everybody is in the same boat, so to speak, as far as the application process. And I think they set it up to put pressure on you to see how your city is going to respond and how quickly you can pull people together and how quickly you can do the application and meet their standards. I think that's done on purpose to actually become part of the application process, because if you can't get together, you can't, whatever, then you probably haven't got an organization that's going to pull this off, and your city's not ready to do it. So you're probably not going to be successful in it. I think that's actually part of the challenge this year. And previous years, it wasn't quite as rushed, but it wasn't easy either. But this year, I think with restarting the program, I think they've done it this way to actually make it difficult, and it's done that way on purpose as part of the application. So that, they're testing you from the beginning to the end on this thing. That's what it's all about. And as far as what you've got to put into it, whatever. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's gonna take a time commitment with people. What I'm hoping to see, though, and what I have seen in other cities, is that you see participation from people who have not been involved in other organizations and other efforts, people that you may not know out there quite as well, but they step forward because they see a value to this that perhaps they hadn't seen in something else. I mean, there's reasons why people come forward to serve on committees or whatever, and you don't always know who that's going to be. But what I have seen in the past is people who hadn't been engaged in a lot of organizations and things that are done, they come forward and want to be a part of this. So you're tapping into other people in your community who otherwise might not be so engaged. And I think that's a good thing.
You have a question from Denise regarding the funding.
about the funding. I don't have fear of the funding over COVID. I mean, this isn't a huge program under the state. Like I said, they only have 2 people to cover the entire state. Whether we're in a pandemic or not, I don't see the program being threatened as far as its funding goes. During certainly the next couple of years. I really don't see that as a problem. They committed to restarting this program under the current administration, and I think she's committed to seeing it go. And I think the Department of Commerce there has definitely seen this as something that the state can really benefit from. I mean, like I said, Kansas does have a long history with the program. There are other states like Iowa has a much greater commitment than we do. They have a much bigger staff, and they went into the program wholeheartedly in the 80s. And I think they've really shown how this goes. I mean, if you're at the state and you're cutting off things like Main Street that produce sales tax and other economic benefits for the state, then I'm not sure why you're doing that. We didn't understand it 8 years ago, and if you're producing revenue for local government, local businesses, and the state, why would you eliminate a program that does that? And like I said, there's no other program that does it better. So yeah, I really don't have the fear of that happening here anytime soon. I think it's just too many benefits to the program.
I will say that the governor's decision 8 years ago to cut that program, I believe, was pretty unique to that administration. I don't think it's first on the chopping block for a lot of governors when they come in and they're looking to trim the budget. I think that it was a peculiar decision back then, and I think people still don't understand it now. And I see why that would be a fear, is that, well, this thing got cut 8 years ago. Why would we put our time and energy into this if it's going to get cut again? I wouldn't sweat that, because I think that, like I said, that was a unique budget trimming decision for that administration at the time.
Right, and they never explained it. I mean, it was done very quickly with no explanation. And I don't know if it was a budget issue, but again, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If we get a successful program, and there were 25 cities in the program, then I'm not sure why you would eliminate that. So it was never explained. That was just it was done away with and then revived here last year. So. You're welcome.
Are there other questions? We have several guests over here, and I'm curious what they're thinking.
Don't forget the raise your hand option. Then you can talk.
Right.
Just like school. It's a webinar, so.
Right.
Like a graduate seminar here.
We do have an email from Scott Sewell saying that he had extreme internet issues this morning and wasn't able to get on.
Extreme internet problems. Yeah, come on,
Extreme.
Scott. See, he's not living in Baldwin City where we have 2 gigabit, providers for internet. He'd be a lot better off over here. Come on, Scott. So he's living in the wrong city. That's the problem. Oh,
Thanks,
oh, that's cruel. That could have been. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's got your. Oh, ooh. It's Monday morning. You're doing that. Come on. Jeez. No. Sorry. Yes, I know. Ugh. All right.
And that comment is only to panelists, so people out on the internet in general have no idea what you're laughing about.
Oh, sorry. There was a joke made there. I don't know if I should repeat that. So I'll let the moderator do that if she wants to.
Well, all I will say in response is it had to do with RG Fiber, and Mike Bosch has told me he supports this program, so I doubt he would cut internet.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not.
Nice recovery, Lynn.
Nice. I was going to make some joke about squirrels in there, but I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. It's tempting.
Are there any other questions out there? I know we kind of covered a lot.
Maybe everybody's out there with a swirly thing on top of their
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Well,
Right. Well, it's a lot to try to understand, right? Real quick. It really is.
I will say we will be discussing this at the let's see. No, never mind. We already had that. We already had that meeting. So yeah, this is the deadline's the 29th. We got 4 days here. So this is really kind of the last open discussion about it until that application's sent in.
There's no guarantee we'll get in the program. We're applying. It's not a guarantee. Does anybody want to address what will happen if we don't get in?
I'll go ahead. We are already an affiliate member. So we get to send 4 people a year to their annual training. That's one of the benefits you get for being an affiliate member. You also get a little bit of access to some stuff on the website and all that. And there's nothing stopping us from applying the principles of Main Street right now without being an active member, without being an official member. The official membership does give you access to the consultants, it gives you access to that expertise. The people, from who are hired, from at the federal level to come in here and actually walk you through some of this stuff and really transform what we're envisioning with the chamber and Main Street combining together. But there's nothing stopping us from going ahead and applying, what we're learning as an affiliate member to the city. Like it's more of a philosophical approach, than it is a lot of bells and whistles. So
You're right.
that's what would happen is we would remain an affiliate member. There's plenty of communities that are affiliate members as well. I guess just keep trying. But I think this year is important because, and I think we hit on it a little bit earlier, but typically 1 or 2 members get in. And this year, I think they're trying to make up for lost ground for the past 8 years being, sort of shut down. So they said 3 this year. And when we talked to Scott last week, he kind of hinted at a 4th, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up.
Yeah. So he kind of opened that door. Let's put it that way. So, well, to follow up on what Corey's saying, if we don't get in this year, and who knows what the pool of applicants will be out there. I mean, you can't control that anyway. So we're going to do the best application we can, and then you go from there. But what I would recommend is, since you already have a Chamber of Commerce set up, that we adopt, like Corey's talking about, the 4 principles and the 4 committees, and we do Main Street without being officially, at Main Street City. We're an affiliate member that has quarterly training. You can do a lot of things on that level. So I would structure under a Chamber of Commerce a Main Street type of organization that isn't a full-fledged Main Street, but you're following their principles, you're setting up the committees, and you're moving forward. I think that only give you a year's worth of experience, and then that looks great on your application the next year. That you applied before, you're already organizing. You're already setting Main Street in motion before you get in the program. I think that can only help you as you go forward and wait till the next year. So that's my kind of take on that.
Well, I don't know if there are more questions. You want to wait a couple minutes and then I think we'll call it good. Otherwise,
I
we'll
think
be here all day listening to Glenn.
I think
Don't
we'll
wanna
wait
do
it out
that.
for a couple minutes, see if
Don't
anybody
wanna.
else.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Okay, but to be fair, I've never seen you this excited about anything, especially not a program.
What? Wow. Monday morning, what are we getting all this? What's going on here? Chiefs won yesterday. Come on, everyone should be happy about that. What's going on here? Dude.
That was not intended to be a slam, but I guess you
Oh,
could take it that way.
Okay, all right.
I guess to follow the school teacher analogy, we could start calling on people.
Oh, I like it. I used to do that. Yeah. Used to do that, just call off people. Ooh. Yeah.
So we're losing attendees now, so I think
Well,
probably we're done.
Yeah, either we've completely explained this or we completely confused everybody and they're running for the doors now, but I hope that's not what happened, but squirrel.
Thanks, you guys. We did have, we were planning for Scott Sewell to present and he had a whole presentation ready.
Yeah.
So you guys just pretty much winged it this morning and I think you did great. So
I appreciate
Thanks for
it.
everyone who attended. And thank you for your questions.
Right. I mean, I know it's first thing Monday morning, so that's kind of tough on people, but we kind of did this because I think Scott was available, but oh well. All right.
all right. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks for listening to us.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.